Okay. This is E1M2 Rust Organs. Rust Organs was the first level made for this game actually, properly. Before this I made like, I don't know, I don't wanna lie, but I probably made like 20 levels, 15 levels, as test levels I mean. Stuff that would only last for like a few minutes, but they were like tests for style, and most of them were about those factory stuff, or trying to make realistic city levels. That realism isn't really my my forte when it comes to making levels. Most of those city levels were too much focused on like real spaces, like I don't know, places where you wash clothes and apartments trying to be too real. But there's, when you make real real spaces, that there isn't that much room for actual gameplay. When you think about it, most of these enemies are actually very large and slow. So when you put them in like living rooms and kitchens, they don't have much room to move, and they just, if they move in straight lines. It's not that fun. The movement is very basic even in these levels, but like I have very little of zigzagging added to them. When they are chasing player, they occasionally, like between 1-2 seconds, they sort of like decide a spot around the player. I think it's like 8-meter distance, like that. They sometimes do funny things like that. They start like running behind the corner because for a moment they think that's where you are, because the game is giving them an approximate location instead of the spot where you're standing. And like, I don't know if I said that already, but that's the point. That creates their sort of zigzagging. If I don't do that, enemies just walking straight lines towards you. That was a problem in the old demos. The enemies would just walking straight lines from behind corners and were very like predictable. But yeah, anyway. Yeah, this track that's playing, I don't know if if the volumes is enough here, but this was the first track sent by INI to me. This was sort of like a demo track. It wasn't exactly that, but like a simpler version of this. I put it into one of the test levels that was sort of like this, sort of similar theme, but even more meat, like meat caves with some weird spinning machines. I played the track there, and I really liked it. I think it fit perfectly with the theme, and I just said like like hell yeah. But I warned him that I'm not very social, I'm kinda shy dude, so he was okay with it. And even these days I feel I don't communicate with him enough, because I'm just very work oriented and shy dude, so I just do what I do and talk to people when I feel there's something to be said. I'm not the kind of guy who just jokes around with people unless I'm face to face with them. Well, anyway, yeah, this track is great. I think this has 3 different variations that start playing through like crossfades as you move forwards. Yeah, it's like all the way to the prison cells and then to the crusher area. The song changes. It's not that like always noticeable, but I think it's great. The song sort of goes more intense as you progress through the level, because the level gets more intense as you go forwards. With INI, I always give him like full freedom to do whatever, because when I'm making levels, I'm not always sure what I really want for them, because my ideas change constantly. I can remake areas, and when I start making a level, I have this very like vague idea. For example, the latest level that I made, E2M4, that was sort of going to be like alien graveyard on the ship, but it's not that at all. When I finished it, it's more like a disposal facility for their corpses. Just lots of fire and crushers and conveyor belts and stuff like that. I don't know which one would have been better, but I really like what I made in the end. And so when I work with him, he might ask like, what do you want for the level? And I'm like, I don't know, I just have a few ideas like in my mind, like images, some themes. I don't know what I told him, like death and fire and desperation, because that's sort of a theme with the aliens. I don't know if anybody catches those things, but it's in my mind. Anyway, I gotta stop saying anyway. Here's new enemies, by the way. Not exactly new, but like this is the first time you see this. These guys are fun. I've always called them the Hemo Goblins. They're not even goblins, but they're just funny dudes in hoods, and they try to steal your blood with these huge syringes. I think you're gonna see more of this in episode 3, like a worse version of this. Like a buff version, some kind of mutated dude that's broken through the... I don't know what it is on them, some sort of... It's not straitjacket? I don't know. When I made this, this was the time when I tried to make the game more realistic, so I sort of saw these as hobos who have been turned monsters through growth. But these days, I just don't know. It makes the game a bit more surreal to have enemies that don't fully make sense. But then there's these dudes that do make sense if you know what they are, but these were fun. In the last episode I was talking about the red corpses in the apartment building that were called slaves originally, and I wanted to make these enemies that like run from you and beg for mercy if you shoot them and stuff like this, and these guys were that. They became more pathetic, sad creatures. These are called incompatibles. That's a mouthful too. Tello says something that they are like failed creations of the growth, and they have this three-eye thing that's going on in their faces, and like here, and in some other things that the growth creates. I just realized that these guys have a hole in their geometry where their neck ends. I got to fix that one day. Nah. Anyway, these broke because I got the tumor. And here's the fun room. It's a kind of shame that I didn't use these crushers more often. We have these go like bonk. The new level, the episode 2 level 4 that I made, that has lots of crushers, but I don't know, I just couldn't make them as fun as they're here somehow. They felt more like obstacles than something fun to mess around with. Maybe I should go back there and put some weak enemies that you can lure under them. Some development thoughts. These waters, blood pools are made with shaders, yeah. In episode 2 I was learning to use shaders, and I bought an add-on to help with that stuff. But these blood flows, these weren't made back when I these were made before I knew how to make shaders. So these are scripted to move the texture downwards between like 0.1 second. I used to use that a lot of in some levels. There's some like pulsating flesh stuff that's basically a script that's scaling the textures up and down. But I went and replaced some of those with proper shaders that look way better. But looking back, I kind of like this too. This looks retro. Like it's stop motion animation. I don't know. I think it's like In Doom there's some kind of slime falls that are sort of like this. Here's a secret, and then here's a second secret. I'm gonna spoil it, some people don't know about this, but you're looking at the spoiler video anyway. This texture isn't animated, by the way. You can use these hands and then it says behind you, but it's not really behind you, it's this. Normally you can't walk through this, you have to shake hands with this corpse and then go here and you can get all the guns in the game. Kitty included. But I don't want to grab those because I'm gonna talk about the guns as I get them naturally through the game. Yeah, you can actually hear now that the music's gotten way more intense. I always liked this hallway. This was one of those like first really moody things I made for the game. I like that the orange is like guiding your view and you see this single corpse hanging here. The fog is dense. It's just really nice to look at. Oh, and this room reminds me. When I started making those shaders, I actually added a thing for these enemies that their edges sort of glow. The point was that sometimes enemies were so hard to see because this game has so much like dense, noisy detail on the textures, and often it's very dark too. So I added this kind of rim light shader on them that always shines no matter where you are, so you can always see the enemies. Because even though the game is very horror oriented, it's good to have this kind of visibility in a game, because this game is not fun if the enemies can ambush you and you can't see them, because everything hurts really much and enemies are kind of aggressive. Worst thing you can have in this game is like being in a dark room and you start taking damage and you don't know what the hell is going on and then you die. Then you have to reset the whole level if you don't have any one-ups. Come here. There you go. The incompatibles don't have their own chips yet. Most enemies have this like unique pieces. I should at least have their like leg, arm and head. Yeah, I'm looking. Yeah, there's the weapon they use. The saw blade disappears. I think that was some kind of weird optimization choice. The transparency in games always is a bit hard on performance, and at some point in the development the game was kind of chugging and I was optimizing the graphics all the time, but then I realized that it wasn't the graphics, it was my shitty coding. The enemies were lagging the game, not stuff that you see really. So, in this game, like so much of this stuff is made with such spaghetti code, even the basic stuff like this, like how stuff takes damage. Every single thing that can be damaged goes through the same script that handles their damage, and it's like a huge network of bullshit checking if they have guard mode on and if they can burn and are they burning and how much health they have, and they're sending events to other scripts and they expect there to be certain scripts with certain names. That's why every breakable object has a script called AI, which deals with the way they break, like if they disappear and spawn gyps and stuff like that. Yeah, here's yellow lights that I don't use anywhere else. I don't know why these weird banana lights are here. They should be orange. It's the final room already. I kind of feel like playing the boss after this instantly in the same video. This was kind of short. I always like this because this looks really nice and the geometry is very like very 90s, very basic, not focused on like small details. The textures have ugly seams and weird overly stretched light textured hair. I think this hurts. Yeah, they hurt. Oh yeah, here's a thing from Doom. There's lava pools. They don't hurt you if you just touch them. They have like a timer that starts going down before they hurt you. It's same with Doom. You can quickly like pass lava and you don't get hurt. I really like that. I don't like that if you stick a toe in there you instantly lose 20 health. Yes, funny little clinker booms. I call this clinker booms. Growth wanted to like grow these weird monsters, so it took barrels and turned them into some kind of booms. They even spawn jeeps from these dudes, I think. Yeah. Yeah, in the next game I want to have like wounds that come from hitting enemies or some kind of like shader that becomes bloodier the more damage they take. I don't know how to make proper decals, like these are kind of messy and bad for the optimization. Basically when an enemy jeeps, it fires lines into multiple directions. And when it hits a surface, it spawns one of these, but it's invisible at first. Then it checks all the four corners if it can hit a flat surface. That all things that they hit are on the same flat surface, and if they are, this thing becomes visible. So basically, in this corner might be one of these, but you just don't see it. It's a way to avoid blood splatters that like hang halfway over the edge weirdly. Like you can slightly see some of that going on here, but I don't mind. I've seen some games do a lot of blood splatters and it's like they always are weirdly like aligned, floating halfway over edges and stuff like that, and I don't want that. I'd rather have less splats than ugly splats. Anyway, let's do this final fight. We're gonna be seeing a lot of enemies and Cheeks. Cheeks, my favorite enemy of the game, I think. He's like... Oop, something blew up, I don't know what. Cheeks is sort of the mascot of the game for me. I should use him more often. Cheeks, the main character, and Kitty, really. It says beep and then it spawns weak enemies into the room. That bounce, enemy bounce, that's actually something I should talk about. I'll talk about here. So, let's kill this so I have one enemy to show it on. Most players know about this, but I just want to talk about like why this is in the game. Like this. When I was making this game, at some point I had my own pathfinding system and it was just plain shit. I tried to make a pathfinding system that was like Doom, but it had physics, so enemies could like fall down edges and you could kick them around, stuff like that. If something exploded, they would fly away from it, and it was fun, but I just couldn't make it very... Look at this dude. I couldn't make it like very reliable. Enemies always got stuck somewhere, like running against walls, and it wasn't very good. And I spent months on it to like just lost time. Sure, I like learned something about the engine and how to make certain things, but Yeah, basically at the end I had just had to say nope, this isn't gonna work. I'm gonna use the Unity navigation agent system that lets enemies like actually path around the level, but they didn't have physics. Basically, here you don't see it, but there's like an invisible mesh on the floor. It's called a nav mesh, navigation mesh, and basically, if I made a system where you can kick enemy and it disables the navigation and they fall down, they would just teleport back up when they hit the floor, because the navigation mesh might not be in the pit or something, and the game engine doesn't like when a navigating object isn't on the nav mesh, so it just plop goes back up and attacks you or something. And so I couldn't have physics that way, but I did a sort of compromise. You might not have horizontal physics, like pushing enemies back into pits, but you can have vertical. So I only activate vertical physics for these enemies, and they fly straight up, and it doesn't cause any issues because they still stay above the navigation mesh. And then I added a system that if you damage enemies in the air, the falling slows down. So it's basically like you can style on them. You can send them in the air and shoot them and they can't run away, and just a small fun thing that you can use on enemies if you realize that you can do it. I like games like Devil May Cry, so of course like air combos, that stuff comes into mind. And that was really fun, I think. It's not something you ever have to use in this game, but it's a game where like players can play in their own styles often. You can play it slow, you can play it fast, and anything goes really. I don't think I got all the secrets this time. Ah, yeah. Yeah, I'm gonna record this boss fight to Feral Armament. This is a fun one. So Feral was kind of rushed, I think. Here's a secret. Feral is like I felt this game needs something cool in the middle, so you don't just look at the same enemies all the time. So I added Feral to the game, and he was very much that classic shoot it until it dies thing. He's just, goddamn, that's so hard to get. That's actually a secret, if some people don't know. If you shoot that clinker, this wall opens, and there's a 1-up. It doesn't count as a secret because you can miss it so easily. This area was basically added as some kind of filler build-up for the boss, but in retrospect it wasn't the best choice because people were dying to this boss so much and they hated running all the way back to the beginning all the time. So here's a new enemy. Let's talk about him in the future. So many things. Yeah, so basically I added that one secret that I showed earlier as a shortcut to the boss, but you miss all the items that you would get, like rockets, the rocket launcher. You would have to fight him with less equipment. He's still doable. There's ammo in the arena. But yeah, check this out. I'm kind of proud of that. There's two reasons why I'm proud of it. One is just that it's cool as hell, it's funny, and the second is that it shows that I optimized the jibbing. It doesn't lag. It used to lag like shit when that happened. So many enemies just popped there. But yeah. This guy, his design, the story isn't that cool. I have I have a guilty pleasure band called Lordi. It's a band where dudes wear these plastic prosthetic costumes. I don't know what to call it, like horror movie costumes. And the singer looks sort of like him, like long black hair and evil monster eyes. He isn't missing a jaw. It would be very hard to sing if he did. But yeah, I didn't think of him when I made him, but I was listening to Lordi back then. I always have this like a 1 month long thing where I just listen to I just listen to Lordi. I used to listen to it when I was a kid. So yeah, I think the influence seeped into this boss. It's a very simple boss design in the end. Just a dude with cannons and big arm. These pipes break when he falls. It's all timed perfectly. There's no like triggers happening when he falls down. I just count the seconds and hope for the best, and it changes model and makes some effects when he goes through them. You might not notice when you play it that he actually goes through these pipes, but yeah, it makes sense. Is there anything else to say before I cut this episode? Probably not. No, yeah. Well, there's one thing. There was this boss called Giga Chad. Yeah, I used to call him Giga Chad. I didn't have any ideas like for the name, and he was supposed to be like a mutated version of those guys who throw the saw blades with the 3-eye helmet, and like this buff dude, and like the boss fight was going to be like this arena at first. Oh, there's a moving light. I haven't noticed. Yeah, there was going to be like a Colosseum in this level. This was going to be the Colosseum. It was going to be bigger, and the Giga Chad would have been here, and it would have been like full of these dead dudes. This texture still has them. I don't think many people notice it, but there's those eyes. This is just a texture that's made of models. And yeah, the point was that these dudes were like competing for the growth's appraisal, I don't know what to call it, like praise, to get power. So they were fighting each other, and the one who would win would like mutate into this Hulk monster, and when you get to this level there would have been those dudes just sitting around and looking at you like thinking that you are here to participate in the contest. They wouldn't even attack you. And then you would come here and the Giga Chad would have been here and you would fight him. And I had some other ideas, like having the Giga Chad in some kind of labyrinth and he would smash through walls, and sort of like a survival horror situation where he chases you and slams through walls and other obstacles suddenly, and if you hurt him enough he would just run away and appear somewhere else. Those are fun ideas, but it was just hell to make, and really at the end I was thinking like, let's not make something so complicated. I just want a big dude that's cool to look at, and you shoot at him and he dies, or so you think, because he isn't actually canonically dead here. He's just sleeping. Yeah. Anyway, that was a ramble. I'm gonna cut the video here, and I think I might record the second one instantly, the Blood Totems, the demo level. Yeah, okay. Bye bye.